and sisters, you all would have gone through what he is, where he is coming from, everything. I have few points to add. By age, he is junior to me, but by wisdom, by practical life and a living style, I have seen him in Canada. I have seen him from my college days, very highly matured, a very pleasant person with very high wisdom. I don't use the word knowledge, high wisdom, life led in that way, not just talk, but it is that action what he is doing. And he was the president of one of the biggest centers of the world in Toronto, Scarborough. As I have seen, that is one of the biggest centers I have seen. With love, he could annex thousands of people. And he also, for last so many years, 16 years and more, he is encouraging the youth in bhajans with its meaning, with its philosophy. He teaches everything to them. And what you all won't know, he is an excellent composer of bhajans in Sanskrit language. Imagine coming from Sri Lanka, a Tamilian. He took Sanskrit as language and is very strong with that. He has composed number of bhajans which are extremely good. And his life, if I talk, I'll take days together. Such a lovely, great personality. Today is amidst us. I pray to Bhagavan to inspire all of us and to inspire him, that we are able to listen to most wonderful satsang from my dear, dear younger brother, Arun, and I mean it. Jai Sai Ram. Thank you.
Yes, Brother Arun.
Sai Ram, everyone. I offer my loving salutations at the feet of my dearest mother, Sai. Respected elders, sisters, brothers, and children who have gathered here virtually to listen to this talk, my heartfelt Sai Rams to you all. It's always a joy to be with family. And we all are family who I have not personally met, but we are meeting because we are all, after all, children of Swami. Thank you very much. I thank Swami for this wonderful opportunity to think of him, to remember his words, to remember his love, and to remember his grace with you all. I thank my brother, dearest brother, Haryana, for his wonderful words. He's always very generous with his words. We go way long back from 1979. We have been roommates. He has been my room leader for 2 years. So we have had lots of interactions, and it's always a joy to see him. And I thank Brother Satya and also Brother Venkat for making sure that everything is sorted out so that we can have this Satsangh Sai Ram. When I was asked to speak, I asked him, "Do you want any particular topic?" Otherwise, otherwise if we are not contained by a topic or a theme, we can go on and on everywhere without any boundaries. But they said it's all up to you. So I was thinking for the past couple of days what I should think, and I happened to listen to a Swami's discourse, and the Swami sang a Kriti of Sri Annamacharya, and that sort of, I felt, okay, that should be the thought, because it was something which inspired me from my days in Puttaparthi when I first learned that. So I thought that will be the topic. Yenta matramu yavaru talachina anta matrame neevu. This is how Saint Annamacharya sang. For those who may not understand the meaning, what it is yenta matramu, how much ever, but the quantity or the volume or the intensity, whatever you want to call it. Yavvalavu in Tamil will say. Yenta matramu, that measure. However we think, that is how you are. However we visualize you, that is how you are. However close we are, we think that's how close you are. I'm reminded of the anecdote of Swami and with his students. One day, Swami has this habit of, just talking about something. We may not realize what exactly he's talking, because he will ask, what did you eat? Where are you? What are you wearing? Where did you come from? And all this. So he asked this boy, what is the distance between me and you? So that boy thought, what is this, Swami? You also can figure it out. Why are you asking me? That would have been the thought in the boy's side. Anyway, he said, Swami, it's about 10 feet, Swami. Swami asked, how far am I from you? Swami asked. Then he said, that's, if anyone else asks in the world, we'll say, what is he asking? He said, Swami, you're 10 feet away. Then he asked, how far are you? He said, Swami, I'm 10 feet away from you, physically. Then he said, however far you think you are, that is how far you are. However close you think you are, that is how close you are. See, these words of Saint Annamacharya, who never had the blessing which we had, seeing Swami alive, talking to us. We have videos of Swami, even those who have not visited can watch. Saint Annamacharya only saw a statue as a human being. But the devotion it inspired was all what he thought of the Lord. He thought of the Lord as alive, the Lord was alive. So I thought that should be the topic. How much have I thought of Swami? In which way and how close he was? I think that is applicable to all of us, whether we were living while Swami was physically present amongst us or not. Whether we lived in India or Puttaparthi, whether we live far away in Singapore or myself in Canada, it all depends on our thoughts. So that will be the topic. I hope I do justice in my little way. I can never completely explain it, but the spirit of it, I thought how it has influenced me, because that has been something which has inspired me for the past 30, 40 years, I would say. 40 years since I joined Parthi. So this is the overall theme. But I'm going to break down what I'm going to speak into 3 categories. Because Swami says devotion, the path of devotion has 3 stages. Jnatum, Drashtum, Praveshtum. In the Bhagavad Gita, just after Arjuna had the Vishwarupa Darshan, Sri Krishna says, oh Arjuna, what you were blessed with, even great devas and rishis are pining for and have not had it. To have that as a continuous experience, you need to go through the path of devotion, which has Jnatum, Drashtum, Praveshtum. To know, to see, and to become one. Jnatum means to see, to know. Drashtum is to see. And Tattvena Prativeshtum, to become one with that principle is praveshtam. So that should be our journey, and every action, every word, every thought of ours can be evaluated in those terms. So I'm going to break my life into three categories: Jnatum, Drashtum, and Praveshtam. So let me start with Jnatum. All of us have come to know, I understand that many of you have been long associated with Swami. So whatever I'm going to say is not going to be anything new, because I'm sure you have your own experiences. You have learned from different people. You have listened to people with much more exalted wisdom and love in, just like Anna Haryana and others. So it's not going to be anything new, but it is a unique path. Everyone has our own path. And I will just share, maybe we all learn from each other something. Parasparam bodhayantaha, as Sri Krishna tells. The devotees always, they teach each other and they talk among themselves. Kathayantaha bodhayantaha parasparam. Okay, that is the quality of devotees. So that's all we are engaging in. And hopefully it's a joyful experience, because we all remember Swami. So in the year 1968, I was a 5-year-old kid. I think you all will know I am not worried about my age, so it's okay. So I was a 5-year-old kid, and my mother had taken ill for a couple of years. She was almost bedridden. She developed abdominal pain. Many visits to doctors, surgeons, specialists. No one could diagnose what the problem was. But she was becoming weak day by day. She could not keep any food in. She was throwing up whatever she ate. She was miserable. She would roll on the bed. She became weak. My father, with 3 kids, was very, very stressed. He didn't know what to do, because we were all 3 young boys, 7, 5, and 3. And he didn't know what to do. So he would be stressed. But one day, he and my brother were going on an errand somewhere. And along the street, they passed a hall from where there were bhajans being heard. They didn't know about Swami, they didn't know about bhajans. But my older brother insisted that they go there and check that out. He was a little kid of 7 years. So my father said, okay, I will go. And they went in, entered the building, and they found people sitting in front of a photograph and singing bhajans. He sat down. And within a few minutes, he experienced something. A sense of peace, calm, just descended on him. And all his cares and worries about his wife, who seems to be almost in a deathbed, and 3 young children, he had to go to work, he had to look after the house. All that care and worries just vanished. Since then, he had been going for bhajans, and that is how Swami entered our lives. In this time, my parents got the book Satyam Chun Sundaram. My father read, and my mother also read when she was during one of her hospital stay. And then she was decided. She told my father, I don't know what I'm ailing from. I may die any day. These doctors don't seem to be knowing what is wrong with me. We have found this, this Swami. Why don't we all go there? Even if it does not cure me, at least during my last days, I want to be in a holy place, and maybe I will die there. It's okay. Let us all go. And so in 1969, we made our first trip to Puttaparthi. It was right on those days, traveling there was not very comfortable, very taxing. Anyway, we all went. I was a small kid. I don't remember much except a few stray instances. We landed in Puttaparthi. We were given an accommodation in one of the few rooms. That time there were only 4 or 5 rooms for outsiders. Swami's grace, we got a room. And Swami gave us an interview a couple of days later, in which Swami told, I will take care of it. The doctors don't know. They are saying that gallbladder is not functioning. I know. And Swami gave me vibhuti. And to my father also, he said, because I think because of the stress, he was suffering from gastritis. He said, you are suffering from chronic gastritis. And he sort of tapped on his stomach. And Swami talked, And there was one question which Swami asked. My father always remembered. He asked, are all these your sons? he asked me this question. My father said, yes, Swami. And that was it. And we returned home. By the time we came home after that very strenuous journey, my mother was on her feet. The pain had vanished. She was back to normal. For 25 years, the only medicine she ever took was Vibhuti until she was diagnosed with diabetes and the doctors insisted that she take some metformin. So that is how we came to know of Swami, or Swami entered our lives um, in our consciousness, I would say. So from 69, we joined the Bal Vikas. We were enrolled. I think that was the first year the Bal Vikas opened. Swami initiated that. So we were the first batch of Bal Vikas students in Sri Lanka in 1970. And for the next 9 years, we learned a lot about Swami. My parents were our house was just Sai activities all the time. People were dropping in. My father also published a magazine in Tamil between 70 and 72 until the Sanatana Sarthi in Tamil became official. And so home was filled with Swami's thoughts. And during this time, I used to attend Bal Vikas. I want to spend a little bit of this because even though it was not direct experience, as someone looking at Swami far away, what my life was, I always go back and think. I used to read the stories of Gopikas, got to learn about Sakubai and various devotees. I used to read the Bhakta Vijayam, and I used to feel so sad, that we are born in this, and as a little kid, I also want to enjoy that. At that time, we didn't know that Swami schools existed and so on. Later on, as the years progressed, we came to know. So that yearning to have that experience, because we thought, we were so far away, we are not born in India, we don't speak the language there and all that. So those were concerns. And my father read the discourse of Swami's in First World Conference. The first discourse which Swami gave during the First World Conference Swami started off in Sanskrit. And in that discourse, Swami said, everyone, young and adult, everyone should learn Sanskrit. My father, after reading that, he started looking for places where we could all learn Sanskrit. And he also organized some Telugu lessons from a Telugu family. So he was so totally into it. So we started learning Sanskrit at the age of 7 from Ramakrishna Mission. They were conducting Sanskrit classes because Swami likes it. And it became very handy later on. And later on, I studied Sanskrit with more interest because Swami likes it. So maybe by studying Sanskrit, maybe Swami will give a seat. So the yearning to study in Swami was a lot. And in 1979. So I think in this path of spirituality, that yearning is everything. That is the foundation. And that gives, the boons which it gives cannot be measured. So I thought everyone should know, even if, you see, the reality is we are inspired by someone like Annamacharya who didn't have the Lord's physical proximity. And people who have had the proximity are inspired by such people. So the distance, physical proximity doesn't matter. What we do with the information we have is more important. So in 1979, I happened to land in Puttaparthi for seeking admission because my older brother had joined Vrindavan the year before in 1978. So in 1979, my mother took and Swami gave us an interview. He said, I will give him admission, don't worry. And then I got enrolled in Puttaparthi. And Swami inaugurated the college in Puttaparthi. That is how I got the opportunity to meet Brother Hadi also for the first time because we all joined. He joined, he's 2 years senior in my academic careers and we joined at the same time. So that was getting to know Swami. It is not that our knowing Swami has ended there because in our life, even today, I'm trying to know Swami. So, but that's the way it's initiated, but that has to start somewhere. And I think we have to make the effort. I always feel the effort, that yearning, which that knowledge brought about, and the sadhana which I may have done as a kid, without knowing what it is, had some role to play when we got that mission. Because after all our karmas fructify in some way. So in 1916, so from that I will go into some of the lessons Swami taught through various experiences. So in 1979, Swami established a college. There were only 60 of us. Swami used to come around, talk to people, talk to students, spent a lot of time with students. But it was not a pleasant experience for me because though Swami gave us an interview before the admission and said that he will give me admission, after I got the admission, Swami didn't look at me. Swami didn't even smile at me. Swami didn't talk to me. Because there were very few of us, and every day Swami was there morning and evening, and he would spend at least 2 hours with the students, walk around. He would walk around me, but he was not even looking at me. And that started troubling me. He would crack a joke next to me, he would crack a joke next to this side, but I didn't exist. And so I thought I was feeling sad, and I started writing letters to Swami. But Swami would every day pick up the letter with his hands behind his back, like this. He will pick up the letter without looking at me. I don't know how he did it. I realized that he knew that I existed, but he was not looking at me. So I think I was also, my pain increased. I think it was expressed in the letters too. And I think it was July 8th or so. Swami came forward for darshan, and my elder brother had come from Vrindavan because he wanted to study in Puttaparthi. So that's a different story. I should not go into that story at this point in time. My brother and brother Harry go way back. They have had lots of times together. I think Harry is in better position to tell the story. So Swami called us both for interview, and I was thrilled. That seems to be the first interview any of the students in Parthi were getting. So I went and sat in front of the interview room along with a few other devotees, Swami and Chalix, and I thought, why was I feeling so sad? I was on ninth cloud. And Swami came back. He told all of us to file into the interview room. So we all walked in. Swami came in, Swami closed the door. Swami turned around and he was scanning the faces. I was, ecstatic. I was in sheer bliss, I should say, in that close proximity with Swami. I was thinking, wow, it's going to be a wonderful experience. And as Swami's gaze scanned each face, and it came to rest on mine. Suddenly, I saw Swami's face changing. His eyes almost became blood red. He said, "You get out. I don't want you in this place. Why? I don't know why such people like you should be here. You pack up and leave right now." He looked at my brother and said, take him away, pack his bag, go and put him in the bus, let him go away. I don't want to see him ever again. I didn't know what happened. I was shocked. I felt as if I was kicked from it's like the Trishanku went to heaven and he was kicked and he was falling headlong towards her. That's the way I felt. I was sinking into the earth, sort of feeling. And I didn't know why. And I started crying. I just started crying. Swami left me alone and he started talking to other people. And I was still crying. And then I heard some jokes being cracked. So I opened my eyes, thinking maybe now Swami has cooled down. After all, he hasn't thrown me out of the interview room. I looked up, smiling. Swami again turned and again gave me a few words, of harsh words, repeated the same thing. You should not be here. And that's a trait. I can't even remember. After that, I couldn't remember any of the words Swami spoke. I cried. So whenever I would open my eyes, Swami would look at me, and that's how the interview progressed for about 40 minutes. I didn't know what happened, what I did, nothing. Then Swami, at last, my turn came for a private interview. So Swami took me in. Because Swami, I don't know whether many of you know, most of you may know, but I will, for the people who may be listening who are not familiar with it, there's a main interview room which is about 10 by 10 feet. It's a small room. Adjacent to that, there's a much smaller room, which where Swami gives what we call private. So there will be many families. He will call each family into the inside the room and talk something personal with them. He'll bring them out and then he will have a general talk with everyone. And so he took me in and he told me, "What is your problem? Why are you not happy? I have brought you from a faraway place, thousands of miles, and I've given you a place to stay here. I've given you education. I've given you a seat, but you are not happy. What can I do with you? Look there," and he pointed to the wall, as if towards the gen side. I looked there, the walls didn't exist. I could see the people, devotees sitting on the darshan grounds. He said, "Look there." And I'm seeing some youngsters of my age sitting there and crying. He said, "All those boys would like to be here. I can throw you out and give one person that chance. You are here and you are still unhappy. What can I do for you?" And you are writing that Swami is not smiling, Swami is not talking. And you have written that my heart is like a rock. I said, "Swami, no." "What? No. I have the letter upstairs. I will go and get it right now," he said. Then I said, "No, Swami." Because I think in my pain, I said, "Andava, my heart is like a rock. Won't it melt?" We read this poetry, so I thought I would use that also. It was a great devotee about that. I cried. Then he told me, "Look here, you fool. My love is of 1,000 mothers. But you don't understand. What can I do with you? Why you should be here? You are unhappy." Swami turned and walked out of the small room. I also followed. I still didn't know whether I'm going to stay or I'm going to go. I was still continuing to cry. And Swami started giving vibhuti, and when the interview was over, everyone was going out. When I stayed in the interview room as the last person because I thought I will maximize my time there. And when I went near the door, I just fell down and I sobbed at his feet. Swami picked me up and told me, "Bangaru, I will always keep you with me." He gave me vibhuti and he said, "You go to classes." That was a big lesson for me, to learn to be happy. Whatever the circumstances, whatever life throws at you, be happy because the Lord is keeping you with him. So that was a lesson Swami gave me to prepare myself to face life also, I think. And I think that is a lesson which is needed for each and every one of us. When we know that the Lord is with us, there's nothing to be afraid, nothing to feel sad about. Everything else is of insignificance, including the Lord's smile, including Lord's talk. So I lived there in Patti for about 7 years. I was not what they call a form boy. I don't have a list of things to say, Swami did this, Swami talked. I was a backbencher of sorts, you can say, in the sense Swami's attention. For some time, I used to sit in the front. Whenever I sat, Swami was not coming here. So I thought by me being there are others also rushing to the front and they were not getting any chance. So I started sitting at the last row so that Swami is not inconvenienced that I am there. But Swami let me stay for 7 years. So I think that was a lesson which I remember, recollect every single day. We should count our blessings, whatever God has given us, and learn to be happy. Swami always says, happy, happy, happy. Sri Krishna says, Santushta Satatam Yogi. As one of the qualification of a devotee is to be happy all the time. If we are becoming sad, then we are not a devotee. So that I tell myself every day. I've said that to myself every day for the past 40 years. And I thank Swami for giving me that lesson that day. So I thought I would share that as a story. So that is the story of a little glimpse of the Lord, Drashtum. Praveshtum is trying to practice it in our lives. So that is how we will be always one with Him. Swami always said, be happy, be happy, be happy. So that was one of the greatest lessons I learned in Parthi. I thought I will share that with you. Another story I would share is, I'm going to keep on talking whatever I like or I remember. But if anyone has any question of something which I am talking about, you can interrupt me anytime and ask the question. I don't have a problem. So I will leave that thought with you because I don't want it to become boring. Because what is interesting for me may not be that interesting to you. So please stop. I hope I don't ramble and bore you all.
We're all enthralled. Keep going, brother. Keep going. We're all enthralled.
Thank you. Sairam. Because the problem is, I'm looking at the screen and I don't look at any faces.
I know. That's why I turned a few videos on so that you don't look at just the screen.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We'll turn a few videos on so you'll feel that we're there.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So another story I would like to talk about is these are gems which Swami gave us. So all three of brothers were studying. When I'll go back to my story. Swami asked my father a question: are these all your children? Okay. At one point, they realized actually they are not my children; they are Swami's. So we all three were put there, and Swami gave us admission. Since then, my father always reminds himself that my children are not my children. My children are Swami's children. I am just a custodian. I'm just a trustee. Nothing more. Nothing more. So we all three were studying there. So it was year 1982. In Puttaparthi, it's just wonderful. Our days are fully packed. We get up at 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and the day goes on till about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. And every second, every minute is filled with some activity. You're tired, you go to bed. Again, you wake up, there are festivals, this, that, there are preparations for festivals. Time goes, you don't even feel the time going. So we were just blissfully spending our time in Puttaparthi and Prashanthi Nilayam and hostel. And one day, Swami gave interview in the morning to everyone. And after morning darshan interview, and the Bhajan Swami will walk around students. So that day he walked around and suddenly he looked at my elder brother and said, come. And he asked, where are the brothers? So we also stood up and all three of us were called and Swami took us all three to the interview room. So again, we were happy. But nowadays, after my first experience, whenever I went to the interview room, I never went with high expectations because so I was, you had to be a bit wary of where Swami is taking you. But we all went in. Swami closed the door. Swami went and sat on the chair and we stood around Swami. Swami asked in his broken Tamil, Swami has this funny way of talking Tamil in a very, as if a non-Tamil speaker. I will tell in Tamil, then I will translate. எப்ப வீட்டுக்கு லெட்டர் போட்டாச்சு லாஸ்ட் எப்ப வீட்டுக்கு லெட்டர் போட்டாச்சு like that he asked 2-3 times. I said, Swami, you should be, we were shocked, surprised by the question. When I was thinking, each of us started thinking, three of us standing there, when we wrote the letter home, last letter home. Couldn't remember when we wrote the letter, okay. So we were not saying anything. Swami repeated the question a few times and then he asked, Chappu. Huh? Then we mustered up some courage and said, Swami, few weeks ago. Few weeks? There. 3 months. You didn't write letters home for 3 months. We just stood silently. What else to say? Then Swami asked, do you know how I know? Swami, you know everything, That's philosophy normally we say. And also we believe also. Right now, your mother is sitting in front of my picture and crying. She's telling Swami, I have tried my best to send them there to you. They don't have to remember me every day. They don't have to remember me every time. But at least once in a while, they can remember and write something. They've completely forgotten me, Swami. Completely forgotten. Is that what you are teaching? You also don't remember me. They also don't remember. What is my lot? She is crying in front of me. So, three of you are going outside and writing letters sitting down here and posting it before you go back to the hostel. And hereafter, every week you have to write one letter home. If not, I'm throwing all three out. These were Swami's words, and we came out. This is an incident which remains green in my memory till today.
Arun,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt. Please tell that Swami educated even for your visas. Swami used to arrange vehicle and everything,
Yes.
your flight charges, everything.
I will tell. Okay, I will go back to that, Saira. So I sat there, and that experience of mine, even today, when I sit in front of Swami's picture and pray, his words come back to me. He's listening. How he acts, we don't know. He may not talk, but he's listening. That omniscience Swami expressed to us. And also he told us that even if you are thinking of God, do not neglect the important things in life around you. Your mother is important. You have to not ignore it. To have that integrated vision is the important thing in life. So it's a continuous, it's not that I have achieved that state, but always we should know that we should not neglect things around us. At the same time, we should not forget the Lord. And that our prayers will always be listened to by Him. So that was a greatest gift of Swami to me. That assurance, I will listen to you. My mother was in Sri Lanka, thousands of miles away. And she was just crying, and the Lord knew. And with one stroke, my mother became ecstatic that the Lord knows me, thinks of me, remembers me. My mother was a great devotee. We are from a very low middle class family. I will go back to what brother had said. But, my father borrowed heavily, my mother sold her jewelry, everything she had, so that we could study. And Swami, when he talked to us, he told us, you don't know the mother's sacrifice, how much she has made? They are going without food to send money to you. They're going without food to send money to you. And you should be grateful. Those were Swami's words. So I will go back to a little earlier, because in 1979 I joined. My brother was already studying. There were lots of foreign exchange restrictions, even to send money to us, to India, to pay our fees. So my parents, they couldn't afford actually to keep us, to pay the hostel fees, because that time Sri Lankan currency was much of a devalued nature. So it's like from India, somebody supporting someone studying abroad, like Canada or Singapore or something. But they never thought about it. They never worried about it. They thought, if they study, that's okay. So this is how we were studying. A few months passed, and once we got a letter from home saying the Sri Lankan government has clamped down and said no foreign remittances were allowed. So they could not even send remittances. So we didn't get money for a month, 2 months, 3 months. And we didn't even pay the hostel fees because hostel fees had to be paid, which was nothing much actually, $100 or so, 100 rupees or so. We didn't have pocket money. This was the lot, and we were sad. We didn't have we didn't have money to even buy the soap or toothpaste. Okay, that was the state. Swami sometimes wants us to experience certain things in life, I guess. Just like that can happen to anyone, even outside. So it so happened one day, my brother and I used to talk about it. What are we going to do? Fortunately, the warden never asked us that you didn't pay the hostel fee because college was free. Hostel fees we used to pay. He didn't ask. We also avoided looking at the warden, thinking that nothing should be reminded. But I don't know, whatever happened, he didn't even talk to us about it. So 3 months passed without hostel fees being paid. One day I come back to my because that time it was a dormitory. Our space allocated to us was like 1.5 feet by 6.5 feet or 6 feet. That was the real estate which we were given in the hostel. I think Brother Harry knows.
Yeah.
About 60 of us used to use 3 or 4 washrooms.
Exactly.
Okay. And we used to wait in the queue. I used to wake up at 2 o'clock to have a reasonably good bath. Otherwise, your bath will last only 1 minute.
Correct.
Because the other boys will be banging the door. So that was a lot. So my neighbor told me I lost 10 rupees, which I had in my bag. Did you take it? I said, no. He said, I am sure you have taken it.
Oh my God.
I said, what makes you think? He said, you fellow doesn't even have soap. You are taking your empty soap box and going to the washroom. Okay. So I know you don't have money, so you would have taken. These were his words. I just couldn't bear it. I remember going to the washroom and closing the door and crying. I was standing there and crying, Swami, not having money is okay. You throw us out, it's okay. But if somebody tells me that I have stolen something, what can I do? And that fellow was threatening, I'm going to go and report to the warden. So it became double worried, Swami, anyone was getting angry with me. Now the warden also will get angry, then that will be the end. Those were my thoughts. I cried, and I came out. When my tears ran dry, I came out. And somebody was saying, hey, I am looking for you everywhere. Warden is calling you. I thought, my God, this fellow must have gone and complained to the warden. So I, trepidatiously, I went, worried what was in store. He said, wait. So I stood and waited in front of him. By then he had summoned 2 others, my older brother and another Sri Lankan boy called Keshavan. All 3 of us were summoned. We stood in front of him. He said, Swami wanted me to tell you this, that your parents are unable to remit money for you. So Swami said, he will take care of all your expenses. And then he pulled out envelopes and handed over to each other. He said, Swami has given this as pocket money for you all. Whenever you need, Swami will give something. I started crying. But this time crying, thinking, remembering of the Lord's love. We didn't write a single letter to Swami. We didn't even think. We didn't even pray. That's how we were scared. Even to help us financially, you see. Because Swami was anyway doing everything, keeping us near. What else more we need? That was the thought, but he gave us. So I went back to my room and I thought, okay, now I will give that fellow 10 rupees. And I pulled out the 10 rupees from that envelope and gave that fellow. He said, no, I found my money. He became a very big, good friend of mine. And then I will take it. That's another story. But that was my experience. So So the thing is, you can say, oh, you are lucky to get, but the reality is each one of us, wherever we are getting money, once we are in his fold, the money is coming from only Swami. Money is only coming from Swami. It is not coming from anywhere. I'm going to jump, about 4 or 5 years ago, because Brother Harry is telling about this. 4 or 5 years ago, I worked for one bank, and I worked now there for about 27, 28 years. About 5 years ago, someone known to me, who had a colleague of mine, he called me and said he had a job. He called me for coffee, and we had coffee, and he said, see, this job, I have this job. I think you are the most suitable person, but I can't give you any money or anything. Will you take it? He said, I don't know why you think I can. He said, something tells me only you are suitable. I said, okay. Then he said, are you interested? What can I do for you? He asked me. Based on whatever you are required, then I will give you the job. Because of my personal circumstances, I told him, don't ask me when I come to work and when I leave work. I will take the job. He told me the job is yours. So what I'm saying is, in the Western world, in a capitalist country, people are just thrown out, laid off willy-nilly. If I have a job, it is only because of His grace. So what I'm saying is, anyone who cries out and leaves everything to the Lord, He will give if it is needed. He may make us even go without food, but that is also His love, because there is some benefit to that also. So that is the Lord. I think all of you also will have enough stories. This is my story, so I thought I will just share. So he is still, even till today, He is looking after. Maybe not directly, not physically giving, but in many ways. And when the money comes, we know it has come from Swami. That is love. I don't know. It's already almost 8 o'clock. I think I have. When I go over time, you please stop me. So I shared a couple of stories. Maybe one more story.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, at least, yeah.
But
The flow is nice.
Is okay.
The flow is nice.
Okay.
Keep going.
So I will tell you another story also. So in 1984, for the first 5 years, 79 to 84, we didn't leave Puttaparthi. Our home was Parthi only. We didn't step out. The only one place we used to go out was to renew our visa. That also Swami will arrange. Swami will tell the Chakravarti registrar to sort it out. So Chakravarti will call the collector in Anantapur, say, I am sending 2 boys, they will come, renew the visa. So we will go. Again, Swami will give you Namaskaram, Pada Namaskaram, pocket money, and we will go. And we will come back. That was the only trip outside of Prashanthi Nilaya. So that is how we lived till 1984. There are many other stories. I don't want to go into the, in 83, my riots, I don't know, many people may know, may not know. In Sri Lanka, there was a big riot. My parents were there. They came and they stayed in Parthi for some time. I'm not going to. In 1984, Swami gave us an interview just after Trai opening. We all came back to Puttaparthi, and Swami gave a talk to all the students and said, this time we are going to do some hostel renovation. Everyone has to go. No one can stay. Okay, that's what he said. But we thought every year Swami tells this and other students go, we will stay. That was our understanding. And my older brother's story was completely different. By then he had torn off his passport and all that, and he was staying there. He and Brother Harry used to work in the administrative block in the examination department. Anyway, but he also, Swami told all of you have to go. So we just kept quiet. Everyone else packed and left. Few of us were hanging around. Swami came one day morning, Darshan, he said, hey, how come you didn't go? He just, better not to talk anything, we just said like this. Swami said, come, and he took us to the interview room. So there were 4 Sri Lankan boys actually at that time, because my 3 brothers and one more called Keshavan, means we couldn't make arrangements. We usually, what we were doing, we were staying back in the summer, and we used to do hostel maintenance. We used to paint the hostel, repair chairs, all that we used to do during the summer vacation. So we thought if personal renovation, that is our job only. So, we thought we will, anyway, we are doing that. We were doing for the past 4 years. Swami said, sit down. So we sat down. Then Swami asked, when are you all going? And we said, Swami, we have not made arrangements. No ticket, Swami, nothing. So he said, hey, ticket leda? You don't have tickets? Swami asked, how much? How much will it cost? We said, we don't know, Swami. He said, don't know. I see. Then Swami said, open the door. Swami went and opened the door and looked outside. There were a few VIPs. He picked a few and he said, come. So they came in and then Swami closed the door. And Swami asked, okay, these Sri Lankan boys, 4 fellows, they have to go back. And so in this, my older brother was not included. Okay, myself, my younger brother, and Keshavan, the other boy. He said, these boys have to go, and they're saying they don't have any ticket. How can they? What is the airfare? So they said, Swami, I don't know, some number they gave, 600 or 700 rupees or something like that at that time. Swami said, how else they can go? Swami asked, is there any other way to go? They said, Swami, there's a steamer between Rameshwaram and Telangana. So they can take that also. Then Swami asked, oh, I see. So from here, how will they go to Rameshwaram? Train, how much, all that. Swami asked, how much it will come to about 250 rupees. Swami said, that is good. That's enough. Swami asked them to go out. Okay, Swami closed the door. Then Swami reached out at the window sill. There's a window next to Swami's chair. Clicked there, and there were 3 envelopes. He pulled them out and gave each one to us and said, there's enough money for steamer. Go and come. And he also said, there's little extra money. Buy a sari for your amma and take. That's what he said. And then we said, take Pada Namaskaram and you have to go. This time, no chance. You have to go home. Then we took Pada Namaskaram and got up. Swami gave Vibhuti. Then he said, hey, wait. In Sri Lanka, they're all shooting Tamil boys. Telsa, they're shooting. Because when we are in Parthi, we don't read newspaper, no radio news, no magazines. We really don't know what goes outside. We know that there's some problem in Sri Lanka, but we don't know anything more than that. He said, they're shooting Tamil boys. If you all go there, whatever I have taught will go waste. Okay. So he waved his hands, and out came 3 lockets. He threw 1 to each. And he said, wear it and go. Buy some thread, wear it and go. I want you all to be safe. So we filed out. We were very happy. Swami gave something. We came back to the hostel and I came back. I was holding it tight. When he came to the hostel, I opened my hand and looked at my locket. On one side, Swami's face was supported. This is the universal locket Swami gives everyone. Swami's face, Swami's bust. On the back side, there's Om written. I have seen other boys having it. I looked at mine. I couldn't believe my eyes. Swami's face, bust was all disfigured. I rotated to the back and looked. There was no Om. There was 1 or 2 outlines. The rest was a big dent. I thought, Swami, what has happened? I asked my brother and his was pretty good. The other boy also was good. Mine was damaged. It was one of the rejected piece from Swami's factory. That's the way I felt. I felt so, I thought, Swami, is my devotion defective? Am I a defective person? Why did I deserve this? All these thoughts came to me. And I can't even show it to somebody and say, Swami gave this locket. Usually, when Swami gives, we like to sort of display, Swami gave this. If I showed it, people will say, man, if you want to tell something, at least buy a good one and tell. That's what people will say. So I had to wear it. But be happy, Swami gave something that is between me and Swami. We went out, we bought thread, black thread, and we wore it. And we left Parthi and we landed in Rameshwaram and we took the steamer. and we landed in Alumini, which is the town in Sri Lanka, and we were waiting in the immigration line. You know, our luggage was very little. You know, I had one small bag with 2 pairs of clothes, other than the one which I was wearing, and there was one Swami's book which I had carried just to read, and that was it. And we had bought the sari for my mother. That was the luggage, mine and my brother's also same. We were standing in the queue. Suddenly, I felt a big jab on my shoulder, left shoulder. I turned and looked. The muzzle of a gun was pointed at me, a machine gun. Within a few seconds, there were about 10 fellows with pointing their machine guns at me. They said, move. So I moved out of the line, immigration line, and they said, walk. As I walked, I was surrounded on, 180 degrees by all those fellows, and I was marched out. See, my brother is a little fairer, but I was dark, and in Puttaparthi with the sun, you'll become really dark. So I was marched, and they kicked open a door. I said, go in. So I went in, and when I went in, I couldn't believe. All the walls were filled with army personnel with their guns pointed, and they said, go to the middle center. So I stood. It was like, I can feel, how in the death squads, people firing range, people, the armed personnel will be training their guns at you and standing. I was standing. I was just I was 18 years old. But I was not worried, I was not scared. There was a sudden sense of numb. I remember I only thought of Swami, and I stood there. They asked me to remove my shirt. They said, drop the bag. So drop the bag. Said, don't take the don't move the hands until we tell you. Then they said, take off your shirt. So I removed my shirt. As I removed my shirt, one of the army fellow who was stood directly opposite me dashed towards me and jabbed his gun at me. And that bayonet or whatever hit my locket and sort of settled on the hole dent which the locket had. And they said, what is this? I said, this is a pendant. That's what I told. Then that fellow took the gun and then looked at around, because it was worn on a black thread. Because later on, I realized that all Tamil tigers used to wear a black thread with a cyanide pill. So that fellow thought that was the cyanide pill and dashed before I take it and commit suicide. Then they were still not believing. They thought this guy may be more dangerous. People can stab themselves and blast themselves. So they were still careful. Then one fellow tried to ransack my bag with his gun and asked me to drop it. I dropped everything. They picked up the book of Swami, looked at the picture of Swami, and they talked among themselves. And they also checked, to see whether I used to do some bodybuilding at that time at the hostel. So I had some calluses on my hands and all that. So they asked, where did I get, what sort of training I got. I was grilled for a little while, and then they put their heads together and they said, okay, you go. So they asked me to leave the room and come back. Why I told that story was Swami proved many things for me in that incident, because his protective effort, protective influence is there all the time, presence is there all the time. But not only that, whatever he gives in life, however defective it may look on the surface, is actually the appropriate thing for one. Okay, that was what I learned that day. Even if the locket was defective, the power is immense. because the Lord has given it. That thought rings in my ear even today. And that experience has helped me face many things in life. However defective something may look, it'll be fine. And then aside to the story, that locket, that dent filled over few decades, and now you don't even see the dent. Swami's figure, which was disfigured, is now full and beautiful. I am telling this story because I just, well, when it's small, I mean, I hope I have not gone over, it's 7 minutes past. Just give me 2 minutes and I will close. I hear that all of you will be hungry and tired at the end of the day.
We are hungry for more. We are hungry for more, so keep going.
So I will tell you a story because I don't know, I mean, it's personal, but I think I should share because I think all of us should know. See, I have 3 children, twins. Both of them are autistic. So from the worldly sense, they are not normal, they are abnormal. But that damaged piece of locket Swami gave, which was imperfect, if that is given by the Lord, even this is given by the Lord. We do not understand the significance. So I say, Swami, you have given, you will take care. Whatever I have to do, I have to do. If they are now 23 years old, every day I have to remind myself of that. And that has kept me happy. So every day, so many challenges. And I think, Brother Hari, it is not, it should not be, it's not, if I can narrate the same story of my life as a sub story also. If I am happy and I am sitting here and talking to you, and my wife passed away over 2 years ago, so I'm the one who had to prepare the breakfast and come. My one son went to bed only at 4:30 in the morning. I will just give you a glimpse. Okay, we went to bed at 1:30. At 4:30 we woke up. He will wake me up. During that time, he will come and wake me up. Whenever he wakes me up, I will get up. You are sleepy, tired. And he doesn't know. He will wake me up. And when I wake up, the first thought which comes to my mind is, my son has come and woken me up because I'm wasting my time in sleep. It's time to think of Swami. It's time to think of Swami. I never think I need 6 hours of sleep or 5 hours of sleep. Everything in life can be transmuted into worship. Thanks to Swami, I learned that. I think I will stop here. If you keep on, the problem is you give a microphone and have a captive audience, you'll go on and on and on and on and on. I thought I will just share some of these because there are many ways we can inspire ourselves to think of Swami.
One
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram to all of your brothers and sisters. Arun then gave tip of the iceberg. I remember one day when I went to his house, stayed with them. Both husband and wife, Usha, my sister, most loving brother, most loving sister. When I think I become emotional. One day I was sitting and I was talking to Arun that 2 suns were going around, one blowing, bubble and all those things. Then I was feeling within my heart little, heavy. And I'm talking to Arun. See, I'm talking this 18 years back or so. So I was telling Arun that Arun, you are such a wonderful person who look everything with equanimity in your mind beyond your age. Why God gave you this? You know what is the answer Arun gave? He told me, Hari, you and I have to think about world. but see them. They are all, like yogis. They don't know what is around them in the world. See how happy they are, only you and I think. So I see that, and I see that they must have been some rishis, some yoga prashta they have gone. Swami must have found that they should come here because he knows that we can accept as we will accept as Swami's prasad. This is the answer given by Arun. I don't know whether he remembers or not, but I remember that. And I have never seen this husband-wife even for a second, without their smile on their face, which all of us have to take it in our life, because after having many things also, we keep complaining for what we don't have. But that's why I insisted that we should have Arun today. And so that, for all of us, it's not just something about Swami, but how Swami is doing through his students, how we have to accept our life. So this is the lesson we all have to take it. And I'm really, on behalf of all the Sai devotees, brothers and sisters of Arun, you are a very blessed soul. I can't have more words to you, except that I know I love your thoughts, and you know that you too love me. And another small thing I have tried, which may be in front of these things insignificant, is a mandolin played in front of Swami. It's amazing, amazing, amazing in all respects. All of us have to take lots of things from this boy, because his father, mother, another great souls, brother, another great soul. I think next satsang we will share more of him, and also I'll share with you what little I know about him and his brother. Arun, thanks a lot. I'm really mourning for you. You have so many things. Thanks a lot. Sai bless
I
you.
just 1 minute.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I will go back to the theme. ఎంత మాత్రము ఎవ్వరు తలచిన అంత మాత్రమే. So ultimately, it's our thoughts which bring the Lord close to us. However we think of him, that is how he is. If we think things are bad, the Lord is bad. If we think things are good, God is good. So ఎంత మాత్రము ఎవ్వరు తలచిన అంత మాత్రమే. Sai Ram to all of you. It was wonderful to share the morning with you all. Our morning, your evening. I will see you all again day after tomorrow. Sai Ram.
Now we're absolutely blessed to have you today. We look forward to Sunday. Hopefully it will be a longer session. If it's not inconvenient for you, and we'll, I do not know. We're all absolutely blessed. We started off saying that we should listen to Swami students. Haryana, thank you so much. I do not know. It's a very emotional moment listening to you, and the faith that you have in accepting all that Swami gives in the same way. We'll finish off with Samastaloka, and we look forward to the satsang again on Sunday with your brother Arun.
Sai Ram. Sai Ram.
Three Samastalokas. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jai Bolo Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba Ji ki. Sai Ram, everyone. See you on Sunday. Oh, sorry, tomorrow's bhajan. Yeah, bhajan's tomorrow. Yeah, we'll send you the link later. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, brother. No, have a